Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Here we are again, another week, another edition of Hidden Tracks. I'm lucky enough to have a very soulful, blendful man that I had the opportunity to see, Nate Bergman, on the show today. How you doing today, Nate?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. We've had quite a few Nates. I think Nate or Nathan takes up probably about, I want to say 8% of our total episodes of people's first names. So, welcome to the Nate Show.
I think it's a pretty strong name if you're into, one syllable names. I think it's the way to go. Nathan is I only really get called that by my parents, and Nathaniel is not my name. So I only go really with Nate, and I think it's strong. So I'm happy to be one of the many.
Yeah. I mean, it falls in where it comes to the point where I'm like, I can't wait for that time that I meet a rock star who isn't Nate. So, there's going to be that time, someone who could be a nah and just like take the 8 off the end and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, or just N8, N in the number 8 could be. Yeah, sounds pretty hip actually.
That sounds like your next album. That's what it should just be called.
Yeah, way cooler than I'm not cool enough for that. Yeah, I think you have to be 22 years old and have a very hyper pop sound, I think is the.
Yeah. But so I got to see you at Irving Plaza. You made a spectacular comment of thank you for letting me crash your emo night, which was pretty spectacular in and of itself. But it was one of those moments where it's the reason why I show up early to every show. It's a reason why I never miss out on an opener, because you never know what you're going to get. And what I got was a guy who got up on stage with a guitar within 30 seconds of his first song, owned the entire room, made me, a music lover, rush downstairs because you said you had to have your record company produce a couple albums so you could go out on tour. And first thing I did, I went downstairs, bought a shirt for my wife, bought the album, and I was like, I am all in. This guy fucking rules. So had to have you on the show. So here you are. Welcome to our show, man.
I mean, thanks so much for having me. And I appreciate, like, it's still very new to me to hear things like that. So I'm very humbled by it. Like it's I'm very grateful, that you took to the music. So
yeah, it was one of those things that when you see it and you're not expecting it, it just, at the show that I was there to see, and this guy comes out, and it was like I was at a blues show, and you
Sure.
just said, this is what I do. I know you're not here to probably see me, but I'm going to make you know who I am. And that's exactly what you did. And at the end of your set, I mean, everyone was clapping, and I was standing and clapping. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I love to see. You put your soul, your heart on the line, and it was reciprocated by everyone in that room.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really special show, and the tour in general really kind of had that vibe. But I think, I mean, as a music fan myself, I don't want to go see 4 of the same bands on any bill. I mean, 4 is a lot anyway,
Yeah.
And then to see 4 bands that sound the same, I think is it. I think Thursday did a really good job of having a really diverse palette, because Appleseed Cast is so unique in what they do, and
Absolutely.
no one sounds like Cursive. You know what I mean? Like you
No one
couldn't
in the
even.
world sounds like
Yeah,
what Kesher puts out with Cursive. Yeah.
exactly. And if you tried to do that, you couldn't do it. And then Thursday, to me, it's really funny. And I know I made a lot of emo jokes on the tour and that night in particular, but I don't really think they're an emo band. That getting to kind of play with them and play some songs with them during their set. I really think they're a rock band with a lot of prog. Um,
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
I don't think emo is like a bad
No, he is
word.
not a bad word here. I mean, I just think people took it and used it in a negative connotation in a way that it just kind of it sucked for anyone that fell under that category. And I feel terrible that it became such a bad word. Like it's post-hardcore is what it was originally, and then it was emo because there was a little more whininess to it, and it was just bullshit that it got such a negative connotation. I'm an emo for lifer, so
Sure. And I just think that in particular Thursday is playing such intricate parts. It's like I think they're way closer to The Cure than they are to say like Dashboard or even like a Taking Back Sunday or something. I think they stand totally unique in that world. So yeah, I mean, I guess it was really cool to be a part of some, and even going into the tour, I kind of had preconceived notions about what it was going to be like, and it exceeded all of my expectations. So,
and how did you get pulled into that tour? I know Jeremy Ennick was supposed to open that tour or whatever, but how did you get pulled into that? Because for me, I mean, I know your background, I know you're in LIONIZE and great rock band, but how did you catch up with these guys since it was something different than what you've done?
Thursday and I share a manager. His name is Paul Clegg, and Paul introduced me to Tucker when I was going to record my record. I needed a very specific drummer for a song that this single's out right now called Repeats Until You Die. And Paul introduced me to Tucker, and we hit it off right away. And we became kind of musical buds, and he was part of the process of making my album. And then this past summer, I did an acoustic tour supporting Craig Owens, and Jeff Rickley ended up co-headlining that tour. And we shared an RV together for the summer and became very fast friends. So when Jeremy dropped off the tour 10 days before, they basically just said, "Hey, do you want to come play like a half hour after doors and for 25 minutes?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So
yeah, well, that's awesome, and I'm glad they asked you. I am so glad they asked you, because I don't know how I would have found you otherwise.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's funny because Jeremy came out to do a few shows on the West Coast, and man, his set is truly unbelievable. Like he's a once in a lifetime type of musician, and so I was it's kind of one of those bittersweet things, where that like he would have obviously been a great fit for the tour and done a great job, but when opportunities I'm just a road guy, I want to play live shows. So when opportunities arise, I'm ready.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy is that guy that, I call him the godfather of emo, and then went on to create symphonies with his, solo stuff. And I had literally probably seen him 4 times in the past 2 years. So I was like, all right, it wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, it sucks, but whatever. And then all of a sudden I saw you, and I was like, this is fantastic. I got
That's
something
so
new
awesome,
that I can
man.
fall in love with.
I appreciate that. And I also think like I'm a firm believer in good stuff is good stuff, right? So it doesn't really matter to me. I think a lot too in terms of labels and stuff, that it's just like it's it does such a disservice sometimes because, like, if you said to me that's an emo tour, it kind of paints this weird picture of what it's supposed to be when it was really this incredibly diverse um, thing that what I guess it's connected by a certain time in history, but it really is post-hardcore and rock, and yeah, it was just awesome to be there. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just music, and I mean that's the thing where, you know, at the beginning of this show, I mean, I put you as a to me, and watching musicianship, you just have that blues and soul in you when you're singing with your guitar, and I labeled you as that. But what sucks is I want to live in a genreless world, but we can't because people have to kind of know, and it's
of course,
it's so hard to nowadays just be like, oh well, this is, you know, you hear a lot of, oh, we're on the, I think we're on the fifth wave of emo. I don't even fucking know. But my whole thing when it comes to stuff like that is the music never goes away. People don't stop making a certain type of music. You just don't listen to it anymore. So it's not like a
right.
revival or anything. It just never went away and you never listened to it. And I mean, you brought up a good point. I say it all the time. A good song's a good fucking song. Doesn't matter who's
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah. Who cares? I mean, you look at like what my chem has achieved, right? And you look at, I mean, you can just, I guess it always comes back to me like the term people use a lot, for like the genre of stoner rock, and I always thought that was so stupid. Like talking about bands like Caius and Clutch, and it always kind of bothered me because it's like, what does that even mean? It's so like that's so dumb. Like.
I think people are trying to find a way to put it somewhere. You know, when Caius came out, and I love Caius, but it was like, this is a different sound. And when people hear something different, they get scared and they have to label it something.
Yeah. No, I get why people do it. It's just like, I always found it silly when they called Caius stoner rock because it's like, to me, kind of all rock and roll is better while you're stoned. So I never really understood like that specific, like that Caius isn't better high while than like Little Richard or like Hendrix or something. So it's like, I don't know. I never understood it, but
so we'll move away from the genre topic. We take forever going down the genre rabbit hole that is today when searching for something on Bandcamp. But I want to find out a little bit more about you and about what drives you and what influences you. And for me, there's the two pivotal moments we have in our lives. It's the first time you hear music, which is usually your first musical memory, and then the second time is when you find your own music. Do you remember your first musical memory?
oh yeah, big time. My first musical memory is driving. My dad used to own a seafood store, and we would drive oftentimes on the weekends or whatever if he had to go into work. We would drive to work together in his like 1987 blue Toyota pickup truck, and my dad's a big music fan, but for some reason, my first memory of hearing music in the car is Creedence Clearwater Revival,
Greatest driving music.
Yeah, Bad Moon Rising, and it goes back to Fogerty for me. Really, is my first true memory of music.
Wow. Now, how did you start to, from that point, being a small child, and start working your way through music? Did you start to want to play an instrument, or did you just start growing up and start finding your own way through music? How did that work?
I immediately I was obsessed with music from my parents bought me this, like, I don't know if you remember the Craig brand. It was like the cheapest of the cheap Walkmans and boom boxes. It was like, it's called Craig. Anyway,
sold at like the 5 and dimes.
Yeah, 5 and dimes or CVS or you know, it was people's drug back then. And I was obsessed with music like before CDs, when it was just vinyls and tapes. And around 10 years old, I asked I basically had the choice given to me. It was like, do you want to have a guitar, or do you want to have a video game system, I guess. I was kind of given an ultimatum, and I picked guitar and kind of haven't turned back since.
Well, great choice.
Well,
So
I do regret though now seeing how good video games have gotten, and it's like I think I'm past the point where I can get into it now, but I'm very jealous of people who like play Red Dead Redemption, you know?
yeah, but I mean, growing up, everybody had a system right around you, so you had opportunities to play. I would think.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, of course.
So you were just the cool one who had forward thinking to be. I'm not gonna be a video game developer. I'm going to be an artist.
Yeah, I think I kind of knew that from a pretty young age, where at maybe around 12 or 13, homework really stopped happening in general.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, basically.
I don't think I ever did it ever.
Yeah, I just really started doing terribly in school and only focusing on writing and singing and playing, and I was kind of started writing songs about 13 or 14. So
That's awesome. I mean, what was your learning process to writing songs? Was it just learning to play other people's songs and figuring out the formula from there for yourself, or was it the writing poetry and then trying to turn it into songs?
basically it was learning like House of the Rising Sun and some Nirvana, some Green Day, of course, and then kind of getting more into classic rock from there in terms of like playing stuff, like learning some Zeppelin. And I was never, admittedly, I mean, it's still even to this day, like I don't consider myself a very strong guitar player for someone who's been playing for 30 years, but I always found it more fun to kind of play my own stuff anyway. So learning other people's songs never really stoked me out too much. And I started kind of toying around with making my own kind of stupid, silly little songs.
Do you remember the first? You remember the first song you ever wrote, or the name of it?
I don't actually. I don't. I do remember very early on writing a song for a girl in my 8th grade, one of my 8th grade classes. So,
well, I mean, honestly, doesn't that really start for everyone with the first song they write? It's usually about
I mean,
love
look,
that we know nothing about.
yeah, I started off pretty strong in writing, like basically my first couple songs that I ever wrote were about a crush I had on a girl, and then some like really juvenile take on like politics, like not really understanding why people were poor. And I guess I still kind of don't understand, you know what I mean? Like how our political system kind of leaves people in the dust in perpetuity. But maybe that's a whole nother podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. We got into it once, and it goes on forever because I get very angry at all that stuff too. So it doesn't make sense to me. And then I just look at you look back. Well, I didn't ever did my homework, so maybe that's why it doesn't make sense to me. But either way, I just feel it's wrong.
And 20 years later, I'm kind of writing about the same stuff, so it never really changes, I guess.
So when did you first perform in front of strangers? Was that like a talent show at school or something?
Yeah. So the first time this is really strange. This is the first time I've ever told this story. The first time I ever performed in front of a crowd, which is kind of what got me hooked, was, and I don't know how we cooked this idea up, but me and my friend Adam at the 5th grade talent show decided that it would be really funny and entertaining to dress in drag and lip sync Aretha Franklin's Respect. And I can't, now that I'm thinking about it, it's so insane. And I don't know, I don't even know how that idea transpired. I mean, we ended up winning. And the first time and it really hooked me in terms of like performing in front of a crowd. And then, the next thing that I did was be a part of a middle school talent show in the same vein, but I think we covered a like a Bob Marley tune. I'm blanking on the memory, but Yeah,
Was that a band with friends?
yeah, just like kids from school that played a couple
Did you have a
things. I
name?
think we did. No. It was like, no, I don't even know. I don't even think we considered it a band. We basically learned a Nirvana song and we learned a Bob Marley song, which is such a strange mix also. And that was the first time I played in front of people. And then I know this is really strange. This is going to sound kind of strange too, but I was the only one out of basically a group of friends that had played guitar. So a couple bar mitzvahs that I was at, I got up and played with the bar mitzvah band that was playing the bar mitzvah. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's a really strange attention seeking thing, but
Was it your own? You were at someone else's, taking the attention away from their manhood?
Yeah, literally. I mean, they wanted me to do it, but I like fully participated in it. And now that I think about it, what a strange thing to do.
That's awesome, though. I mean, so you knew very young that this was the way that you were going to go in life.
I think I knew very young what a cool way to get attention from people and to get this like emotional reaction from people by playing music on stage, and the feeling that you get from the energy coming off the stage is really powerful. I mean, it's really, even to this day, like, you know, going back to playing with Thursday on that tour, having sitting in for a couple songs at Irving Plaza, I sat in for Signals and Division Street, and it's just so powerful to play on stage with the guys where the amps are loud and the drums are loud, and it's just like this really visceral thing. So that doing that at a young age just was clearly really, kind of formed, I think, my trajectory where I was headed.
Yeah, and I mean that feeling is the addiction. I was watching, I forget what it was, because I think I watched 6 documentaries in 2 days traveling, and just someone said I never needed to do drugs to perform. I needed to do drugs when I wasn't performing, because the performance is the drug, and that's what you're searching when you get off a stage. And that's what I got addicted to, because that feeling on stage is amazing. And then when you get off, it's like you're still amped up, and then an hour later you get a little down, because that, being that high, of a feeling and coming down from that is the hard part. And that's, man, I suck right now because I forget what I was watching that said that. It was I think it was Trent Reznor. I was watching the Netflix thing on Hurt.
That makes so much sense. I think he's totally spot on too. I mean, and he's experienced it at the biggest level that you can experience it at. And it's like, it is, and I've also performed on drugs too. So
yeah, I mean, I think most people have.
Yeah,
but it was just that explanation that I completely understood. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And
yeah, that's what
not
it is.
thinking about it. Yeah,
that's what it is. I mean, it is. I don't know that there's a better high than, especially even sometimes if a performance is really intimate, like this weekend I'm doing a show in Queens. On Saturday I'm doing a show in Queens at this little art space, and they sell tickets, and like I think the room holds 50 people, 60 people tops, maxed out at 60. And sometimes even doing a show like that that's more intimate, it's even more energy and more intense, So
well, yeah, because you can pull everyone's attention. I think that's what it is too. When it's smaller, you can pull everyone's attention to what you're doing and almost get everyone on the same page. Like everyone's on the same wavelength, instead of like with a bigger room where you got people talking at the bar and not really paying attention. When it's smaller, people kind of feel committed to give you all their attention, and once they do, they're like, everyone is now on the same page, and it's a visceral feeling that you're just like, fuck, that was just, everything worked.
It's actually the art space that they're doing it is it's pretty much known as, like, now it's one of the hipper kind of underground comedy spots in New York. And I love comedy for that reason, is that it's generally a really small room and everyone's paying attention to what this person's saying, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And the energy is so real. And if it's not funny, there's no way to like fake laughter. You
No,
can
there isn't.
you can apathetically like applaud a musician on stage and be like, oh, good job or whatever. Or you're clapping because everyone else is, but laughter is like, that's a real gut
It's an emotion.
reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real gut thing. So it's kind of why I wanted to do the show, was to kind of get in touch with like what that's like too, after coming off this tour where all the rooms were like 1,000 people every night, sometimes bigger. And you kind of feel sometimes disconnected from the crowd. Like you're feeling the energy for sure, but it's not as in your face. So I'm really looking forward to kind of feeling what that's like.
Well, I hope it's everything you're searching for.
Yeah, me too. Because it would be it's going to be even more awkward. It's kind of funny in the small crowds like that, because like if it's awkward, there's no escaping it. But if it's a huge crowd, you're kind of just like, well, fuck. I'm just going to walk off stage and go backstage, and no one will ever see me again. And then like in a place like that, it's kind of like, well, now you're going to walk through the crowd and they're all looking at you. I don't know. I'm excited though, because that's kind of like before I started taking these bigger tours, I was basically going around open mic nights in Washington, D.C., where I live. And I was going to open mic nights and doing 3 songs or whatever at these really small kind of bars and venues. And I'm excited to kind of keep doing that, playing as many smaller shows as I possibly can.
I mean, I think that's how the best formula is that really. I mean, because you get to touch people in a different way with your music and your songs, and it gets to grow organically. Like the old days when you would go see an artist that no one's heard of, and then you would just tell your friends about it, and they'd find something that you did, and then it would just that organic growth is just amazing to watch, and I mean, you've been in a band that was popular in LIONIZE, and so doing this on your own, I mean, what's the transformation like to be by yourself and doing it?
Like anything else, it's not binary. I mean, it's such a there's such a spectrum of emotions behind it. I mean, I loved playing in LIONIZE, and the interesting thing is, it's like there's somehow less. Everything's divided by 4. The money's divided by 4. The pressure's divided by 4. Sometimes the responsibility is divided by 4, but not often. And when you're on stage with a group of guys that are as talented as everyone that I played with in LIONIZE, it's like it's you have to work hard, but not as hard, as being up there by yourself. When you're up there by yourself, you can't rely on the drummer being sick, and you can't rely on the keyboard player to be like filling up the space. It's just you. So bigger risk, bigger reward, I guess. Like if a show goes poorly with a great band on stage, and not poorly, but maybe it's not, whatever, it's not the best show, it's still pretty fucking good, because you got 3 other people maybe that are pulling more weight. And if the show's amazing, then that kind of energy and accolade is split, amongst the group. And I think if the show goes poorly when you're by yourself on stage, it's a literal nightmare. I mean, that's a pretty brutal emotional experience. But on the flip, when that goes well, then there's no one else to feel good about. I mean, it's just you did it, and you're in complete control over where the show goes,
Yeah, there's no one else to blame. It's just
to blame or rely on to take it to that. That happens a lot too, where if you're playing with a band and the drummer is on fire, and the drummer kind of takes the jam session or this part to another level, and you follow along because you're in touch with that and you're feeling that. But like when you're doing it by yourself, it's like you have to take it there. It's only you. So you're on every second of the set. There's no like reprieve. So
a great description of how it works for those who don't know. I mean, that is a big thing to, transform, putting it into the way you just described it is a great way to for anyone else out there wanting to do what you do, and you being a vocalist and a guitarist and everything, you're constantly writing. And I have, friends, musicians who are in bands and say, let's not write a lot of songs for the bands, but I also write a lot of songs for myself. And,
right.
They're just not the band songs. They're my own songs. So I'll do my own thing at some point. They just don't fit the formula of the band, but I know they're still good songs and I want to get them out there, just not in the typical way that, a lot of people do, and just say, okay, well, we'll have the band record this.
Yeah. I mean, I always found that kind of strange in terms of, like why bands do that, because it seems like the band, a great band can play any type of song and it's always just going to sound like that band playing it, And
Yeah.
I think that's why, like, in all the classic bands, like, I mean, it's just funny I'm a big Beatles fan, and when you listen back to the solo records, you can definitely be like, oh yeah, for sure, Wings is Paul McCartney. I mean, that's his sound, and there's so much Beatles stuff that kind of sounds like that. And then Lennon and George Harrison, and they're both, in their own respects, their solo records also have this thing that sounds like the Beatles. So it's like, couldn't those songs have just been Beatles songs really at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Like, it's really, I think oftentimes there's a lot of ego involved in it, and not always. I mean, I think a lot of times singers and bands have ideas that are so different from what the band does that it makes a lot of sense to do something separate. But I always kind of found that it's like, you should just take these cool songs, and if they're good songs, the band should just play them. That was kind of always my thought.
So we talked about your first performance, which is awesome. We got the first time you tell that story. How about your first live music experience that you got to see? Do you remember your first concert? Were you dragged to something by your parents? Like,
well, yeah, but in a great way. 1992, Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge tour, RFK Stadium. It's the highest grossing tour of like their whole career. It was insane.
I saw that tour in Giants Stadium.
Wow, how crazy! Look at that. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I was 92. I was 13 or 14.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That wasn't my first show ever, but that was
right. But you saw that tour.
Yeah, I saw that.
That tour. Who opened? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Mine was the Counting Crows opened.
Yeah, it wasn't the Counting Crows.
I remember thinking that
might have been Lenny Kravitz.
Wow. Oh wow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think every two shows they had a different opener.
Yeah, I think it was Lenny Kravitz. Now thinking back, because I know it wasn't the Crows. I think it might have been Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, which is like that.
Maybe
also
why I love Lenny Kravitz so much. Still.
Yeah. What an amazing act to see. Like, you're seeing one of the biggest acts opening for the biggest act. That's just so crazy. But yeah, I distinctly remember smelling weed for the first time, and like, I remember, this is a really strange memory, but I was mesmerized by the show. Like, Mick Jagger was mesmerizing, and the video screen was so crazy, and they were playing like vintage pornography in the background of it, and it was just so. We were
a very educational day.
Yeah, big time. Oh yeah, I learned a lot, and my mom took me, and it was like, I know this is really strange. I remember having a hot dog and a Coke, you know, and I remember the bass from the speakers being so loud that it was regurgitating my food. And I remember thinking, how fucking crazy is that these guys are on stage making this sound that's like literally moving every molecule in my body. And I remember thinking, and I might have been 10. I remember thinking that's the coolest. There's nothing cooler than what's happening right there. And then watching adults, because when you're young, you kind of think adults are like boring or like, you know, you think they're
like
losers. Yeah, I mean, you know, you just think like when you have teachers when you're a kid and you're like, what, like they're like vampires or something, like, you know, they go like live in a coffin and then they come out and come to school. They don't have like lives.
Well, I think you can still look back at it. I look back at it now and I'm like, my parents at my age, I know what age I was when they were my age, and they definitely weren't doing the things that I do now. You know what I mean? So, and it was totally different.
I was watching people party. I guess that's my greater point, as I was watching these adults like party hard and just thinking, how cool is this? That like this music is making these people lose their minds. So I think that had a huge impact on me.
Well, I mean, I guess that had of. I don't think I ever got to see. I don't think I ever saw that out of like adults. I mean, my first concert was I was dragged to a Kenny Rogers concert, and the thing that I saw was I was sitting next to my mom and dad, and I was like, why did that woman take her underwear and put it on stage? Like, I didn't like that was the youthfulness, but my parents weren't doing that. They were just there to enjoy the music, and wow, I mean, that had to have been awesome. And I guess I kind of feel like that with my friends and their kids now, that they just watch us party and listen to music all the time now. But hopefully we have that little bit of effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny just to yeah, I mean, you kind of learn a lot. You either learn what you think is really cool from your parents, or you see what your parents are doing and you're like, that's not cool and I don't want to be a part of that. And I was really lucky that I had very cool parents in terms of like music and art and culture and the appreciation awesome. Of. Yeah, I mean, I'm very.
It's nice that we got it on a recording too, so you can tell. You know,
they know. I tell them all the time. I actually live probably 45 minutes from them and see them at least usually once a week.
I live 1.5 miles up the street from my parents. So
wow. Wow, yeah. Keeping it close. I like that.
Yeah, my mother's my last name's Murphy, but my mother's straight Italian, and if she could, she would have everyone still living underneath her roof. So
does she cook well?
It's the one thing that as she's gotten older, it hasn't gotten better. So
okay.
But she was lucky enough to have a son who was a chef for a while, and me. So.
Amazing, great.
So, what was the first concert you got to pick to go to?
I want to say my first, I don't remember in what order it was. I remember a few distinct concerts early on. First off, there was a small club in where I grew up outside of DC called Phantasmagoria, and they had a lot of punk and ska bands. And in middle school, I started going to see shows, and I can't tell you the amount of shows I went to at that place and just saw kind of local and regional punk bands. And then a few churches kind of had all ages shows, and that's when I first started kind of in the local scene, kind of checking stuff out. And there's a music from DC called go-go music, which is like a really interesting mixture of kind of Latin percussion, hip hop, and funk. And it's only really in DC, and they talk a little bit about it in the Sonic Highways and the Dave Grohl series. There's a group called Trouble Funk from DC that was really influential on Dave Grohl and Ian MacKaye. And anyway, so I remember going to those shows. I remember going down to the 930 Club to see Clutch at 14 years old. I remember going to see Steel Pulse at the 930 Club at 14. I remember going to see OAR. I remember going
Mm-hmm.
to see those guys really early on. I remember going to see just a ton of stuff like that from basically from 8th to 10th grade. And then I saw a bunch of stuff that like a group of friends went to see Dave Matthews. I saw, and that's really early on. And the Up in Smoke tour was one of the best shows I ever saw. Was Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, MC Ren, Ice Cube, and it was like the Chronic 2001 era tour, and I think that was in '99. It was an arena tour, and it was so fucking crazy. That was great. I saw Outkast and the Bloodhound Gang in 1997 at the University of Maryland at a festival called Art Attack that they used to have.
Nice. Love the Bloodhound Gang.
Oh man, it was so legendary. So I'll never forget that show. They basically they stopped doing this, but they basically set it up in the middle of campus and it was free. So maybe 50,000 people showed up to this show. I mean, it was insane. And there was like kegs everywhere and people smoking blunts just everywhere. And it was one of those times where I was just like, I fell in love with the idea of festivals and how cool festivals and outdoor kind of shows could be.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bloodhound Gang did this thing where they got guys from the crowd. I mean, it's literally 40,000 people to come up on stage and show their dick and balls to the audience and then jump off the stage dive. And that was like a contest, I guess, and whoever got the most noise.
That's a very
won.
Bloodhound Gang thing to do.
It was awesome. And they were great. They were like actually great. And then Outkast came on and it was Andre 3000, Big Boy, a DJ, a tabla player, like an Indian percussionist that had a full range of tabla and Indian percussion instruments, and their uncle playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It was so great. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. Truly, it was one of the most rock and punk things I had ever seen. That bill. Like there was nothing like that before and after.
Well, I just got goosebumps because I had an argument recently with somebody where I was trying to say that Outkast was a rock band, that they weren't a hip hop band. They were a funk rock band. That's what they were. And I was trying to, and the way you just described with how they came out on stage now gets solidify that fact. And I get to take that snippet and send it to somebody and say, see, fuck you.
Yeah, you should be validated because the record Aquemini is so much heavy guitar and bass and distorted guitar that you know what? They're closer to Parliament or Mother's Finest. They're closer to Parliament than anything.
Yeah.
And live, it truly is heavy rock. I mean, it's just incredible. There's nothing. I guess when people say like, I'm a hip hop fan, and there is some really good new hip hop and like,
Can you send it to me because I'm having a problem?
Yeah,
I grew up in the '90s, so I'm still De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, to go to
100%.
Like that.
And that's all great.
That's what I search for when I'm like, my favorite was Pete Rock and CL Smooth. That's like what I look for every day again, is to find that.
I mean, there's a guy right now. I think he changed his name because he had some. I'm trying to think of the. So it's Cordae, Cordae, and like he is Eminem's favorite, and he's Eminem and Kendrick's favorite rapper right now, and he's young. I mean, he's like 23, and he's truly great, and his songs are great. And there is some good stuff happening for sure. It's just that like when I think about Outkast, and then I think about the majority of popular hip hop right now, it's like it's apples and oranges. It's just like truly fantastic and innovative and beautiful.
Awesome. I love those stories. So we'll stay on performing. Do you have a a time where you performed live somewhere and you just like that performance stands out to you as like the quintessential performance you've ever put on?
Honestly, like as of now, Irving Plaza really stands out as one of the most incredible shows. That show that you saw, that was really up there for me. That might have been the number one.
Wow. Oh, I mean, it's because I was screaming and you heard me from the balcony.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
like,
Well, all my number ones now are from that tour.
yeah.
That LA and New York on that tour and the last night in San Antonio were just like, I don't know, it sounds so cheesy to say magic, but it really was some kind of alchemy between the performance and the audience, and it lined up, and the synchronicity of what was happening was perfect.
Now, if nobody heard your music and want to get it out there to people, what song of yours would you play for them?
Oh shit, that's tough.
Yeah.
I would say you could play them. I think if you played them Into My Arms or Repeats Until You Die, I think you give people kind of the full spectrum of where I'm coming from, because it's not, that's so tough. What a tough question. Those two songs, I'll stick by that. I think those two songs give you the palette of what I do.
No, they're listen, it's a very hard question. It's, I call it pick your favorite child sometimes for people, because it is hard to reflect on what you're doing. But I always find it interesting to hear the artist tell me what they would play for someone as opposed what I would play for someone possibly. And that's, the things that I find where I'll tell people my favorite song that they do, and they'll be like, and they'll come back at me, they'll be like, that's crazy that you say that, because I never thought, but that is like my song that holds a place in my heart. I just don't tell people about it. I'm like,
very funny.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what would you say? What would you tell people to listen to?
I like Living on the Line. I like Living on the Line. That's
okay.
That could be the one that probably when I put on the record, like I was listening to it and I was like, okay, I really dig this. And I was sitting here and I was doing some post-production on some shows, and then Living on the Line came on, and I literally stopped doing what I was doing and like sat back in my chair and put my hands behind my head and literally listened to the whole album after that without doing anything else.
Wow.
So that was my turning point for the album. So, that to me is why it stands out.
I mean, there's element to me. It's like Paul, who's my manager, I think he said it the best one time, where he's just like, this is like the punk rock Adele. And to me, that it was funny when he said it. And then I started thinking about it, and it's like, I'm a soul singer. Like that's what I am. I am a soul singer, and I'm really influenced by punk rock and heavy rock and country and blues. And so whatever that means, that's what it sounds like to me.
And I think that's where, sometimes, especially when it comes to music, where we talked about the genre thing and people getting, sometimes you get pigeonholed when you get into that genre. And to look at how many people who, to me, some of my favorite bands and artists and the singers go out and they create a blues or country, a true country record, not pop country, but like they just literally, they're in punk bands, Chuck Reagan from Hot Water Music, and
of course.
Tony Cape. I mean, Joey Cape. There's so many guys that have done it. Tony Sly. Who else? Armchair Martian. I forget his name, but I mean, they just go and do this thing that is completely that everybody's just like, oh, this punk rock guy's trying to do something different, but it's not. It's truly who they are. They just happen to have been in a punk rock band for a long time.
Yeah, and I think country's pretty punk. Like, I think they're both
real country. Yeah,
not pop music, but like real country's pretty punk rock in terms of like aesthetic and ethos and what it means to have that spirit. So it's like, Hank Williams is pretty punk. I mean, it's a guy who is hard partying, kind of living on the road and living by his own rules.
Yeah, there's
And
nobody more punk rock than Willie Nelson, you know?
straight up, right? Like that's true though. Like he wrote the book on what it means to just like live your own life and not play by the rules, especially in a scene like Nashville where it's so predetermined who's going to be a star and who's not. And he's like, fuck it. I'm just going to move to Texas then. Like, fuck this place. Johnny
Yeah.
Cash, another perfect example. When everyone else was dressing in light blue suits and rhinestones, he put on black because that's fucking punk. Like, that's sick. And yeah, I just, it's such a tough thing. Like, there's so much Lucero is another band I love that's just like they are punk rockers that basically play country music, you know, like.
Yeah, and what's weird to me, I've had Ben on the show, and like what's weird to me is I'm like, at one point you guys fell into that emo category.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's so weird to me. I'm like, because you guys are just a fucking awesome heavy rock country band, like that just puts out fucking bangers. I'm like, and it was funny to me when people were talking about this emo band Lucero, and I'm like, have you ever fucking seen them play or like truly listened to their music? I'm like, I don't know, you know, why, because the category was so wide ranging when they first came around, I guess, that, you know, they were like, oh, another emo band, because they were on emo tickets. That's, you know, you explained that earlier.
Right.
You know, they were on tickets with other bands that were emo.
I mean, they're one of my favorite bands ever. And I mean, aside from Ben being, and I know those guys personally, and aside, you know, Ben is probably the most handsome guy in all of rock and roll. It's it's so fucked up that he's that good looking and such a good songwriter. It's like, I feel like that's kind of shitty. Like it should be one or the other, you know, but he is both.
Yeah, I mean, and he is as punk rock as it gets. He saw him in January, and he had his own bar on stage playing his solo show. Like he just had his own bar, making his own drinks during the show. I'm like, that's fucking punk rock.
Yeah, he rules. And the thing that I love the most about them is that they were doing this shit when it wasn't cool to do it. Like there's a certain vogue to doing country stuff now in a weird way. And they've been doing it for like, you know, 25, 30 years or whatever. And they're just great. I guess it all comes down to great songs, you know, it doesn't matter.
It really
like,
is great.
We've talked about Outcast and Tribe Called Quest and Thursday and Cursive and Clutch and all these bands that we're talking about at Lucero. And it's like, a great song is a great song. I don't care who writes it. I don't care what genre it is. It doesn't matter. I mean, you know,
I mean, I couldn't say it better myself, because that's what I always say. Great song's a great song. Doesn't matter.
There's very few records that I think are perfect albums. And I would tell you immediately that like Sade's her Lover's Rock album is a perfect album. And I've said that in a few different interviews, and people are like, you're a Sade fan? And it's like, yeah, it's like, it's literally incredible. It doesn't, who cares what
how can you not be?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like to me, it's just like she's such a unique songwriter and singer. And it just dawned on me as we were talking about Lucero, and one of the few times in my life that I've been moved to tears listening to live music. In 2011, LIONIZE was on Warped Tour, and so was Lucero, and we were on a split stage with them on an amphitheater stage, and very few people were watching Lucero every day, and even less people were watching LIONIZE. I mean, maybe 50 to 100 people a night were watching Lucero in an empty amphitheater. And I remember they have a song called Mom, and I remember Ben playing it solo to this empty fucking amphitheater, and all these people from the tour were behind them watching them. Like everyone on the tour loved them, but there wasn't a lot of people in the crowd. And Ben played that song by himself, and it was just like, they're as real as it gets, man. They're just can't say enough great things about them.
Wow, you answered a question that I've been asking. When was the last time you cried to music?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the that's one of the first times. That's one of the first times. I'm trying to think recently if it happened. Shit. No, I mean I definitely remember seeing Sinead O'Connor live at the 930 Club, and she was doing this really strange reggae tour, and she was playing on stage with Sly and Robbie, who are like Jamaica's most famous rhythm section, and her band was incredible. And she did this a cappella version of this Buju Banton song from his record Till Shiloh, and I was just tearing up. Like I couldn't handle it. I mean, it was just she's so powerful live. I think that's the last time probably. It's probably like 10 years ago.
Hey, that's fine. At least it happened. Those moments for me, I mean, live music and something makes me tear up. That's the thing you search for. That's that moment where you're just like, oh, fuck, what was that? And it just goes through your whole body and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's undeniable. I mean, yeah.
So when you were 17 years old, you got your driver's license. What were you listening to when you went to pick up your best friend or your girlfriend at the time?
Ooh, tough one. Man, high school was heavy Sabbath and Zeppelin for me. Heavy Sabbath. I think
constant rotation.
The first 4 records on repeat, just like this was with CD players in the car still. Heavy Sabbath, and also around 17 is when I got into the Bad Brains, and that was Rock for Light and Quickness were a constant in my repertoire.
So who's the band in your life that you just always turn to when you need something most? Like, it's a band that's never let you down. Some people call it favorite band. I don't. I just call it the band that doesn't let you down, that you can always turn to put them on when you just need something.
Fuck. That's so hard because it's what do I need? I mean, if I need to feel good, it's probably Parliament. If I need to feel good, it's probably Parliament. If I need to really get in my feels, it's probably Elliott Smith. If I need to remind myself, if I'm frustrated generally with my own songwriting, I generally go back to the Beatles,
Mm-hmm.
And shit, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I listen to a lot of Pink Floyd. I mean, honestly, it's just what am I searching for? I mean, if I'm on my way to the gym in the morning, it's Biggie almost every time. Every time. Biggie or Wu-Tang.
Somebody else gave me that it's Biggie when they go to the gym. I'm like, all right.
Oh, dude, he's such I mean, I know people do talk about him in terms of like one of the greatest rappers of all time. But if you go back and listen to Ready to Die, it's like he uses voices. There's just it's incredible to hear him tell a story and use like 4 or 5 different voices for each character in the story. I mean, he's so unique. Like, there was nothing like him before, and there will never be anything like that again. Just truly nothing that passionate.
No, have you ever seen the Screech and Bobbito documentary about their radio show they had in New York City back in the 90s?
No.
Oh, yeah, and he came in and just was freestyling, and he was just a kid from around the block, and they heard him outside, and they brought him in on the radio to do what he did, and it just blew everybody away. And then that was what started to set it off for him. It was pretty fucking cool.
Wow. Okay. I need you to email me a list of good docs to catch up on.
All right. Yeah, I'll just cut and paste the list that I usually send to people. It's music biography books and fucking musical documentaries. It just encapsulates my world. I travel a lot for work, so when I'm on planes, I literally will watch 3 music documentaries in a row. I just watched the Go-Go's. That was really fucking good.
Love that.
Yeah, it was so good, and I just forgot how amazing they were. I mean, I had a Hall of Fame edition episode last year where I was like arguing, like, how are the fucking Go-Go's still not in the Hall of Fame? Like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, get rid of the fucking Hall of Fame. Nobody deserves to be in it if fucking people like the Go-Go's aren't in it.
That's heavy. Yeah, that's really heavy.
They're the first female band to ever play their own instruments and write their own songs and make it to number 1.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing.
That's it. That's it. That's all you need to know, you know?
Yeah, that's actually I wish more people knew that, you know?
Yeah. So everyone watch the Go-Go's documentary. It's fantastic.
All right, I'm going to do that.
So I don't want to keep you here forever. I'm having a blast talking to you.
Yeah, this is great. I could do this. I mean, you can call me anytime and talk about music. I'm always down. So,
so am I. We have so much in common, and the fact that we're all over the place with our musical stuff is amazing. That's what I get so much, enjoyment out of when I can sit here and, look in front of me and see a Morris Day and the Time record right next to the Get Up Kid CD, right? Next
Love
to
that.
Ben Folds giving me the finger and a concert poster. That's the kind of this is what I like, because music is that. A good song's a good fucking song. So just listen to music.
Love that so much.
But one thing that I want to hit on is a question that I throw out to everybody. So thinking about impending doom, got 5 minutes left to live. Meteor's going to come barreling down on the earth and kill everyone. And you have to listen to one song. Do you know what song you would listen to?
Redemption Song.
All right. Boom. That was
No
awesome.
hesitation.
That was fucking rapid fire. I love that.
No hesitation.
I had to talk somebody into it last night. I wouldn't listen to anything. And then they were like, I'm going to lay down in the field with my kids. I'm like, all right, so what's the montage fucking playing in your head when you're laying there with your kids?
I mean, to me, I think about this, right? I mean, I love Marley. I think he's one of the best songwriters in terms of stuff that's touched the most, if you're talking
I think
in terms
he's underrated for his songwriting.
Oh, it's crazy, dude. I mean, he's touched hundreds of millions of people around the world. And we have this American perspective where we don't really understand how popular he is. Like when you go to Japan or Africa or South America, like he's as big as anything, for reference, I mean, his last record was in 1981 or 83, and he's still has 15 million monthly listeners on Spotify. I mean, it's insane. But there's a full band version of that song, and it's pretty good. But he was sound checking, getting studio levels, and he was doing it playing an acoustic version, and that's the version that they used on the record. It's a level check, and it's probably lyrically, it's probably the heaviest song about death, maybe the best song about death that's ever been written. I don't know a better one. So,
would you have that when they close the casket on you one day?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you're to ask me what's the last song I want to hear before I die, I think it's that one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that just brought up so you were just on a lengthy tour. And what were you listening to while you were on tour? And what song would you use to create a montage of what you just got to experience? Like a cool 80s skiing montage of your tour life.
So So I'm sorry. Repeat that one more time. I didn't fully understand it.
Yeah. So it was two questions. I'm sorry. I do that a lot because I want to know
No,
so
it was
much in a
great. It
short
was
period of
great.
time. So what were you listening to while you were traveling on your most recent tour?
Oh,
And then the
okay.
next one, then the second part of that question was, if you had to create a montage to the tour, what song would you put to it?
Okay. I was listening to a lot of. I'm going over my Spotify right now. My friend who also plays on my album, who is an amazing bass player. She plays for Marco Benevento, and now she has a solo career. Her name's Karina Reichman. She's actually out in New York. She sent me her record, and I listened to it a lot. I really fell in love with it. Shit, man. I was listening to a lot of this band, Mother's Finest, who was kind of like a funk metal hybrid from the 70s. And I was listening to a lot of O.V. Wright, who's a soul singer. And I was listening, admittedly, to a lot of Clutch on the tour. That kind of, the Clutch is really my go-to, like, Clutch is my go-to, like, I need to pick me up and I'm loading the gear in and I'm getting my shit set up and I put Clutch on for sure. So
Cool.
And I think Friday I'm in Love by The Cure would be the
All right. I like
would be
that.
the song. Yeah.
I make the video in my head right now. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. You know, it's like there was a mutual love and respect for The Cure between the whole tour, and it was kind of on the bus a lot, and I think that represents really the vibe.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm excited. There's a new Cure album coming, so I'm one of those people that it is the Cure is ingrained in me, and it is one of those that is probably my band that I turn to a lot when I kind of need anything, because there's something they've put out, something for every feeling that I need to have.
Yeah, they're actually really underrated, I think, too. Like there's truly something really special about them.
Yeah, I don't think there's another band that could ever do what they did, and especially for as long as they're doing it, and seeing Robert Smith be on stage. He was just on stage with Churches, and
Yeah.
like he's still fucking killing it. Like his vocals are still there, still
Kills
fucking
it.
play. I'm like fuck, man. I'm like, that's amazing. And when they went in the Hall of Fame, watching that portion, like that was the only portion of the Hall of Fame induction that I watched last year, was to watch The Cure finally get their fucking just due, and I was just like, fucking hey, they still got it. Like that's
Kills it. Yeah. Timeless.
amazing.
Totally timeless. And like that's the goal, right? Is just to make art that's timeless, that just lasts forever. So
Well, I think you're on your way with your solo stuff.
oh man, that's so nice. I am only making stuff I think is cool, and I really it's awesome when other people do too. So
Yeah. Well, I've already sent it to a bunch of friends and people, and the singles that you've put out, because I only have a first pressing of the album that I ran downstairs to buy. So
amazing,
can't share
man.
that.
Well, I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, my wife was wearing your shirt yesterday. So
Well, thank her for me, and as soon as some new stuff comes out on this run, maybe I can send you guys a couple more things. So
yeah. But hey, maybe I'll be able to grab them from you in person soon if I can. Make sure
that's going to be a great show. And I don't know if you've seen the Sword before live, but they're incredible.
I haven't.
So.
Yeah,
incredible.
So, but yeah, so I don't want to keep you here. I know you just ran down and looking at your Spotify, but if you want to pull it up again real quick, the last three things that you've listened to. This is our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things that you've listened to recently that you want people to check out.
Okay. Recents. See, okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! It was some Thursday too. That's fucking crazy. I think you should check out this band, the Camp Dogs. And
I saw them open for Cursive.
Amazing. Okay. Jess Price is like one of the best songwriters that is undiscovered as of yet. And I think she's got something really special.
And people, that's Dogs with a Z.
With a Z, yeah. Shit, man. You really put me on the spot here. I'm kind of going through.
Listen, don't give me cool answers.
No, okay. Well, I was listening to Thursday.
Okay.
So go listen to Thursday if you can. And I was listening to some Betty Davis. So she just passed away recently. I was kind of going down the timeline of her stuff. And also, obviously, I don't have to tell people to go listen to Turnstile, but their new record, Turnstile Love Connection, is incredible.
Yep. Got to see them at Furnace Fest.
Oh, wow. Was it crazy?
Yeah, and they actually took over the spot. It kind of sucked because the way that the timing was working out was like I was going to have like a perfect last day of all the bands I wanted to see time-wise, and then Andrew WK couldn't make it, and they took his slot at night, and I was just like, now I was like choosing between, because was Thursday playing that? I think Thursday was closing out. No, they were Friday, I think. I forget who it was, but someone on the main stage, and I was just like, okay, 20 minutes here, run real quick, 20 minutes over there. So, but yeah, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, just yeah, they have the right idea, so.
Awesome. Well, that's a good 4 for our weekly 3s. I will give my weekly 3s. Hot Water Music just came out with a new album called Feel the Void, so I have been digging on that.
Amazing.
Yeah, digging on that because I'm going to see them on Friday, so gotta get prepared for the new stuff. Next is a band called Harry Was Here. There's a song called Your Turn. It's their new single. Really fucking good. Hard to explain. It's just fucking music. Just listen to it. Just check it out. And last but not least, got some popular stuff here this week, but Drug Church, the new album Hygiene. Been digging on that recently. So those are my 3 for this week.
I'm going to check all those out. That sounds awesome.
But yeah, man. So why don't you tell everybody how to find everything that you're doing, how to, find your music, all your fucking righteous handles and shit that people need to know about.
Everything is just Nate Bergman Sings. Everything. My website's natebergmansings.com. Instagram's Nate Bergman Sings. Twitter's Nate Bergman Sings. And just Nate Bergman. I'm the only Nate Bergman on Spotify or Apple.
Well, he made it very easy for everyone. This is great.
Nate Bergman Sings.
Yeah, we'll just put everything out under Nate Bergman Sings. So, but that's awesome, brother. Thank you so much for being here. This was
Shane. Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
But everybody, you know what time it is. It's time to go out, listen to Nate Bergman, and have a great fucking time.
Time slips away. Who's to say it was ever really yours? Time is an illusion. The only confusion is it's linear. It circles back around again like it did before, like opening an endless door that shows another door inside, repeats until you die. The room melts away. Who's to say you was ever really there? Vibrating shapes illuminated. Is this place created by my mind? Or did I travel? Did I travel back in time like I did before? Like opening an endless door that shows another door inside, repeats until you die. the visions in my eyes, and when it comes to me like cosmic streams, a neon waterfall it seems, that floods into an endless stream. Have I already died? Repeats until you die. Repeats until you die. Repeats until you die. Repeats until you die. Repeats until you
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.